Nós temos 15 minutos, aproximadamente, e a palavra está aberta. Dr. Roberto Ventura, Dr. Kaiser, Roberto Ventura.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think they were very, very good. And I have some questions. The first question is for Christian. I forgot your name. Anyway, my question is, BGR is a research institute, right? As far as I understood, the research institute. So now you have an area by ESA in the Pacific. So my question is, once you have everything set for exploration or exploitation, what will happen? Is BGR will exploit the area, will exploit the nodules? What I want to ask, what is BGR policy for that? The other question I have is about the sulfides in South Atlantic, and I noticed that the North Atlantic we have lots of sulfides occurrences, and you plot the red areas there. And my question is whether we have or not some studies or detailed studies in the South Atlantic that's not really shown in that map. And finally, the other question I have is about environmental issues. I haven't seen, at least, you didn't mention anything about environmental issues and concerning the manganese nodules. How, what are the baselines for environmental issues concerning some future exploitation of the manganese nodules?
Yeah. Oh. Yes. Yes. Thank you for this tripartite question. And I think it's very important to raise these questions. I come to your first part about production and exploitation by BGR. I forgot to mention we are an authority. We are not only working in a field of science and research and development, but we are a federal authority, so we must not make competition to the industry in no way. We can cooperate with industry. We also can be commissioned by the industry if there is some scientific gain or advantage for our own studies, but we must not make competition to industry. So all exploitation and production matter is left to industrial and profit companies. I think this is the first part. Regarding sulfides in the South Atlantic or Equatorial Atlantic, we have no data so far. We worked, as you could see from the two maps I have shown, on geophysical work and geological geochemical work. In geophysics, we have a lot of data collected in this area at the continental margins, only mostly within the exclusive economic zone or just next to it. But we have almost, no, I don't think we have any survey, marine geological or marine geochemical survey in that area. And also the archives of AMR PROISAC do not contain any information for this area so far. But as I told you, we are open for cooperation. But this comprises our experience we gained so far. And the third part of your question was about the environmental issues. BGR has conducted, along with other partners in the 70s and 80s, a comprehensive program on deep sea environment protection. TUSH, it was Tiefsee-Umweltschutz, yeah, deep sea environment protection. And also these questions are under special consideration, in particular by BGR, because we are cooperating also intensely with the federal German Ministry of Environment, and so we are obliged to monitor and to make assessments like the comprehensive environment impact assessment for all of our works. There's a strong regulation in Germany, and also BGR by itself is interested to monitor the impacts on the environmental system. And as far as I know, from the law of the sea, environment is a very high standard and point in this legal system. And there are also areas established for comparison of the impacts, untouched areas of equal composition and age and conditions, and the production areas. So there will be made analysis and comparison, and I think the ISA has the authority to stop any activity whenever this is dangerous and does harm to the environment.
Okay, Dr. Kaiser and the doctor. Microphone, please.
Thank you, both of you, for your excellent presentation. The first one will be addressed to Dr. Kotlinski. You have talked about the Atlantic Ocean. You have mentioned the lack of data, the lack of sampling station. Nevertheless, how can you make the assessment for the most promising potential, taking into account the manganese nodule, cobalt crust, and massive sulfides? In other words, what might be the feature of the Atlantic Ocean? Because today we all talking about the Pacific. Everything happening is in the Pacific. And the last question will be with Christian. You have said that you are willing, you are active in the Pacific, but you are willing to do some work in the Atlantic. What are you waiting for? Or who are you waiting? Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my opinion, amount of the sampling station for the area square more than 100,000 square kilometer, 9, 12, 6. It is enough. It is enough. And I think that we can speak about possible prospection in this area for the start, for the depths above 2,500. And then we have data to give correct opinion. Atlantic Ocean is not, it is concentration ferromanganese oxide and hydroxide concentration of basic metals, manganese, cobalt, nickel, copper, is really different as in Pacific Ocean. But I think that many area can be perspective for in the future, of course. The same is for sulfides, but we have no too much data in oceanic reach of segments of the oceanic reach. But I think that, for example, Bouvet triple junction is perspective, in my opinion. However, we have no so many data for it.
Thank you.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, it's okay, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you for that question, and I can just follow to Dr. Kotinski, because there's lacking a huge lack of data in the Atlantic and the equatorial and South Atlantic, and this area is not on focus of BGR's geological and geochemical marine research so far. We are, as you can see, I have presented the figures of BGR and the budgets, but the marine division is only a very small one of this. Maybe in total, geophysics and geology, the staff is maybe 60 people, including technicians, scientists, everything, geophysics, geology, geochemistry, all. That's not too much. We don't have own vessels. We always have to apply for funds. We have a very small budget to do our own surveys, but then we have to charter. This is a tedious administrative process. So all these people are occupied so far, and this means South Atlantic is not on present focus, but it can be. We are open if there is more information. BGR will not do the first step so far to acquire more data and to say maybe this is economically valuable, or we should compare this area and this area. This is a lot of time and money, and we will not invest this as a first protagonist. But if somebody says we have an idea, we are doing this and this, and we have more information about this area, and we need some particular expertise, so BGR are interested to cooperate with us. So we are always open for this. Does this answer your question? Okay, thank you. Ah, yeah.
May I add? I would like to tell that not only metallic deposits in the South Atlantic, but we have taken into account high perspective oil and gas deposits, of course, of the very huge sedimentary basin and very interesting passive margin in this ocean. There is very important too.
May I add another comment again, because you rose the issue of the energy resources. That is one issue we are working concentrated in the Atlantic Ocean, along with non-profit and profit organizations. But because this is mainly restricted to the exclusive economic zone, or possibly to the area of the extended continental shelf beyond 200 nautical miles, so this is not of interest for the aspects of the area. But so maybe there's a tiny opportunity which makes it relevant for that what we are discussing here. So this is just to see the relationship between our activities in the Atlantic and the Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your both brilliant presentations. I know that Mr. Kotelinski worked hard to prepare a map especially for this seminar on the South Atlantic. This map will be very useful. Yes, it changed a lot. Okay. So we prepared also something like this, and I think we got the same results as you. And this is the starting point for the research we should do in the South and the Equatorial Atlantic, based on the few data we have available. Mr. Christian, sorry. Christian, you made a very good presentation about the BGR. We know that BGR is doing a lot of work. I have myself spent 2 years working with the marine geophysics team in the BGR, and I know that they are developing a lot of work all around the world, geophysics and geology. And it would be a very good idea to have a cooperation for the South Atlantic also. I have a question for both of you. We know that, for example, for polymetallic nodules, the metal content of nodules, the metal content of nickel and cobalt is higher in the Pacific Ocean. That's why most of companies are working there, and the nodules from the South Atlantic are richer in iron. from your experience, from your knowledge, could you say something about sulfides and crust? Is it possible to say now that sulfides and crust from one ocean is richer in metal of economic interest than others? And my second question is, where would you start mineral research in the South Atlantic? Which region do you think would be the most interesting one? Thank you.
Thank you. Really, in the Pacific Ocean, concentration in the polymetallic nodules of the manganese, copper, and nickel is higher than in Atlantic by ferrum and cobalt. That means it depends between minerals composition, you know, and ferrum and cobalt is in Atlantic can be interesting in many places. But for about polymetallic sulfides, I think that we can wait for our expert presentation, Cherkasov, who has a new data and will be more better for us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think at least from the status of my knowledge, I cannot contribute too much to your question. I would refer to what Dr. Kutinsky has said. And well, obviously, most information or the most advantageous information is available for the Walvis Ridge and possibly its counterpart of the Brazilian coast. And well, from general exploration strategies, I would say to start from that area you know most, and then to go into more unexplored areas and to compare. Thank you.
Thank you very much.